When I'm studying, I want to know that I'm learning my information so that I know it now, later, and way later. This is because I'm going to use what I'm learning right now, not only to pass my exams in grad school, but also to pass my boards and to treat clients for the rest of my career. I also don't want to spend hours and hours reviewing and wasting my time studying when I could be doing it much more efficiently. So over the years, I have mastered how to study efficiently and effectively so that the information stays in my brain now for the exam and for a longer period of return. I've shared a little bit about my overall study strategies, but the thing that has helped me most with long-term retention of information is something called spaced repetition. But when it comes to studying and learning information, there's two ways that you can go about the timing of when you study. One is mass practice and one is distributed practice. Mass practice is cramming all the information at once. The other kind of learning that you can do is distributed practice. This is doing smaller portions over a longer period of time. So instead of studying for 5 hours one day, you might study for an hour, 5 days. Spaced repetition is a form of distributed practice, and it is repeating information over a longer period of time. So let's say that you made a flashcard saying, "What color is the sky?" You're going to see this flashcard over and over again over a course of weeks, months, maybe even years, depending on the information that you're learning. There's many ways that you can actually put spaced repetition into practice. Most people are probably going to be most comfortable with a form of software that does this. Quizlet Learn does spaced repetition, and there is actually a computer software that was developed by medical students called Anki, and it is very popular among med students, and I'm hoping that I can make it popular among OT students because it is popular for a reason. You can use spaced repetition with literal paper-drawn flashcards if you want to. The key is just spacing out the time that you work with the information over days, weeks, months, years. If you're taking an exam in 3 weeks, that means that you cannot cram, you need to start now. Like I said, the format doesn't really matter. The thing that's important is that you're following the keys of spaced repetition learning. Those keys are spacing your work over longer periods of time, ensuring that you're repeating the information. So you're not looking at a flashcard once and never looking at it again. Even if a card was easy, it should pop up in a week or 2 weeks for you. One really helpful key to make it an efficient way to study is to moderate the difficulty. Now, this is why I like Anki specifically, because it automatically does difficulty moderation for you. When you answer a card, you get to rate it as easy, good, hard, or again, meaning you don't know it. Anki automatically puts the card into a pile that will show you it again in a certain amount of time to optimize your learning. So if it was easy, you're not going to see that card again for a long time, but if it was an again card where you didn't know the answer, it'll show you it in a minute, 2 minutes. This is good because you're not reviewing cards that you already know, and you're getting the opportunity to focus on the information that you don't know. If you are using paper flashcards rather than a software, you can moderate the difficulty by having an easy and hard pile where you put the easy cards in a pile once you answer them and the hard cards in a different pile, and you repeat the hard cards until they're all in the easy pile. When it comes to actually making spaced repetition work for you, you need to put in the work. So one thing is you need to actually repeat the information. You have to study over a period of days. I aim for 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. The other thing is that you need to practice active recall when you are practicing this information. Active recall means that you don't just flip a card over and be like, oh yeah, that's what I thought the answer was. I trick my brain into automatically doing active recall by phrasing the cards as questions rather than just associating two facts. I make my Anki flashcards during class rather than taking notes, so as important information pops up, I just turn it into a flashcard and put it in a deck. Now, spaced repetition isn't the only study tactic that you need to use. However, it's much more effective than reading and highlighting information. Science shows that that just does not work. One problem that I run into when I'm using spaced repetition in the form of flashcards is learning a lot of information out of context. So every week I like to go back and put that information into context. All of our professors provide us with frequent case studies. So for example, if we're learning about the lobes of the brain, which long gone and done, but I might have been taking a neuro class where we had a case study and there was a patient that had symptoms listed after having a CVA. So I would go through that list of symptoms and identify what part of the brain is likely to be affected. So for example, if they're having difficulty with attention, it's probably the frontal lobe. I would pull all that information back and try to put it in the context of a person. Hopefully you can add spaced repetition into your study tactics so that you can study less and more efficiently so that you retain the information for longer periods of time. If this was helpful, please like the video and subscribe because it really supports me and my channel, and I will see you next Thursday.